Failure can seem really scary if you're just like living in your head and letting your ideas exist only as ideas instead of trying to like make them real. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about why you need to stop overthinking and just get started. You have an idea in your head of something creative you'd like to try. Maybe you want to take up painting, maybe you want to start your own YouTube channel, you want to start a business on Etsy, maybe you want to sell like prints of your art or different keychains or things that you're making. You have an idea and this idea is really cool. Maybe you can't sleep because you're like planning and thinking about this idea. This is a great place to be in. But alongside all of that excitement and creativity and all these ideas going around your head, there might also be, it probably is, doubts and fears and questions, because this is something new you've not done before. If you're starting a channel or starting an Etsy shop and you've not done that before, there's going to be loads of things that you don't know how to do yet, and which will bring up questions and make you think, is this for me? Can I do this? And I want to encourage you, whatever you've been thinking about doing, I want to encourage you to just start and just see, because it's never what you expect. I think that's the first main takeaway. Whatever you expect it to be like, it's going to evolve in a way that you hadn't anticipated. This is the same with any creative venture, right? I find it would be even the same. You start off writing an essay or you start off writing a story and you think you know how it's going to go. You've got your plan, you've outlined all your points for your essay, and you start writing and you start researching and you come across something interesting and you think, oh, maybe I need to explore that a bit more. Let's write about that. Things start to evolve, and by the time you finish writing your essay, you look back and you're like, oh my goodness, I started off in such a different place, but I had to get started to get to the place that I'm at now, you know? Even if you abandoned the initial idea that you had for your essay, you still wouldn't have got the final essay if you hadn't started at all. It's interesting how things evolve, but you have to give them a chance to evolve by actually taking action. And I think so often we can get caught in our head, caught up in like this perfect idea, or like, oh, I'm not ready to start yet, I need to buy this thing, or I need to come up with better ideas or whatever. But it's like, no, if you just get started, all of that other stuff will make sense. So if you want to start a YouTube channel, just use your phone. If you have a smartphone, seeing on my analytics that most of the people who watch my videos are watching on mobile phone. So start filming on your phone. That's what I did. You don't need to like put off starting your channel because you're like, oh, I don't have this phone or I don't have this camera. Like, no, just get started and see, because this is the next point. Not only is the thing not going to be what you expect, you may not actually like it. So in your head, you're thinking, yes, great idea to start a Substack, or yes, great idea to start an Etsy shop, or great idea to start a YouTube channel. And you have all these different things planned. And then you actually start filming and you might be like, oh, this is uncomfortable. And it will be uncomfortable because it's weird, right? It's very unnatural to talk to a camera. But there's a difference between like, this is uncomfortable, but I'm, learning, or I know this will become more normal and I enjoy the process of like filming and editing and creating a thing. That is slightly different to like sitting in front of a camera, talking to it and being like, this doesn't feel right. This isn't for me. Like that gut feeling you get where you're like, I thought this was going to be different. I thought this is what I wanted to do, but actually I'm getting the sense that this isn't for me. You've built up a picture of what a thing is going to be like. You thought you would really like starting a YouTube channel, but then you try and film or edit and you're like, this is boring, or this isn't what I thought and I don't like it. That's fine. And now that you've tried it, you've freed up all of that creative energy you were putting into this imaginary channel that you were building. You freed that up to go do something else now. So you're like, oh, okay, now what do I want to do? And whether it's Etsy or YouTube, yes, you can monetize those things. It's difficult because then things become more complicated, but I definitely don't think we should be tying a creative pursuit into money, at least not straight away, because you need to find out like what you actually enjoy doing. Do you enjoy the process of the thing instead of just doing the thing because it will eventually make you money? In terms of this idea of like you imagine a specific thing and you think this is going to be great. I actually in December was thinking about starting a different YouTube channel from scratch, because I had this very specific idea and I was like, this would be a very, very specific niche. I would only talk about these topics in these videos. I had the channel name. I had, I think, like 14 video titles. So I was like, I want to launch this new channel with 5 videos so that if someone finds my channel, they have other things to watch. It's not just like one brand new video. So I planned out all these video ideas. I outlined quite a few of those ideas as well, and I had plenty of things that I could talk about. So I was like, this is great. Like, I'm not running out of ideas. And then I sat down to film the first video. Again, really excited, like, this is cool, got a new channel. I literally couldn't sleep because I was like, this is going to be so fun, like so interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm so excited about this idea. And then I sat down to film the video, and as I was filming it, I was like, this isn't, like the video itself, I look back at it, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with what I said, but I could just feel that that wasn't the right thing for me to do. It's really hard to explain, but I had been obsessing over this idea of doing this new channel. I filmed that video and it was like, I never thought about that again. You know, like all of that creative energy that I'd been pouring into this imaginary other channel. I was then like, no, I don't need to do that. And it wasn't like, oh, what a failure. It was like, I'm so glad that I filmed the video and realized and listened to my gut and was like, no, this isn't the right thing to do. Because I only then spent, what, 3 days planning that, as opposed to if I hadn't sat down to film it and take action on the idea, I could have wasted, you know, a month just thinking about it and planning it and doing like different thumbnails for the videos and making a channel banner and writing a bio for the channel or whatever. Like spent all of this other time in this thing that ultimately wasn't going to work because I realized it wasn't the right thing for me to do. Now in another universe, maybe that was the right thing for me to do, but like I just, in my gut, it didn't feel like that was right. I was like, no, that's not me. Maybe I had picked that idea up from someone else. Maybe it was just like a fun project, like a side thing to plan, right? Like, it doesn't have to lead to anything. It was still like a enjoyable process and I liked being creative, and it was a really interesting exercise as well, like planning and outlining different videos about a completely different topic. But ultimately, I was like, no, this is not what I want to do and this doesn't feel right, so I don't have to pursue that. But if you're always stuck in the thinking mode and never actually taking action on any of your ideas, you're never gonna get to that point of, oh, this isn't for me. And like, it doesn't matter. Like, you might view that now as a failure or as a waste of time, but it definitely wasn't. Like, I look back on this experience, I'm like, that wasn't a waste of time. That was fun, right? Like, I enjoyed that process, but ultimately that wasn't the right direction for me to go in, and so I didn't do that. Nothing changed. Like, it wasn't a big failure, it wasn't a big deal. It was just an enjoyable little side quest. And then I've come back to the main thing, which is this YouTube channel, and I'm posting on here. Failure can seem really scary if you're just like living in your head and letting your ideas exist only as ideas instead of trying to like make them real. I think in terms of failure as well, with getting started, it's like, how do you define what is a success or what is a failure? Because like, if I post a video that I'm really proud of, but it doesn't do very well numbers wise, is that a failure? I don't think so. You might look at it from the outside and be like, oh, that only got 100 views. So it failed in the sense of reaching a big audience. But that's not the reason that that thing exists. Obviously, you hope that a lot of people will see something if you've made it and you know, it's a topic that you care about or you think it can help people. You want it to spread to as many people as possible. But maybe it reached the people it needed to, and that was that. Like, it's not a failure. And some of the videos that I'm proudest of and that I'm really glad I made, they aren't the ones that are the most popular on my channel. So it's, how do you define what a failure is? You can't fail if you're taking action, basically. If you have an idea and you decide to pursue it and it doesn't end up as anything, is that a failure? I would say definitely not. Any time you're like pursuing a creative idea and trying to create something from scratch, even if that thing doesn't come to fruition, that time you spent on it is not a waste, and it's not a failure, and it could lead to something else. So you're like, okay, I didn't like this wasn't in the end the direction that I was going to go in, but I can do something else instead, and I'm inspired by this past thing. And also, even if you're not inspired by the idea or what you were trying to make, and you can't take any of the learnings from that creative thing into the next thing, you can at least be inspired by the fact that you went through this process, realized it wasn't for you, and moved on to something else. And nothing bad happened, right? You failed or it didn't go as you expected, but nothing bad happened. And if anything, you can take confidence from that experience and be like, oh, I trust myself. I have a clearly defined vision of what I need to be doing, or I learned to trust my gut here because I thought this was for me, and then I realized it wasn't, right? Like, you're learning things. It's not possible to fail if you're doing that. I was just compelled to talk about this topic because I've been thinking a lot about success and failure and what it means, and especially thinking about this channel that I nearly started, because I'm like, wow, I could have spent so much time on that, and it wasn't what I needed to be doing. Even if I did, you know, if I did spend months planning and doing whatever, it wouldn't have been a waste because I would have enjoyed creating that, but it wasn't necessary for me to do that, because as soon as I filmed that video, I was like, yeah, this isn't right for me to do. This is great for someone else, but it's not for me, and that's fine. I hope this has encouraged you to just get started. Just see how things go. You never know what's gonna happen. One idea might lead to another. You might learn something about yourself in the process, or you might just enjoy the process and then move on to another project. It's not a big deal if you fail. All of it is amazing. Just get started. Just start drawing, start your Etsy shop, like figure it out along the way. Please share in the comments whatever it is, whatever project it is that you've been putting off, and share how you get on, because we can all learn from each other. God bless, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.